And we're online on everything but YouTube. Come on, YouTube.
Come on,
Catch up.
YouTube.
Everyone can hear me talking.
Come on, YouTube.
There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a little bit of an impromptu special. So we're going to have a chat with Mr. Rob Harris, who's over that way. I think. No, he's over that way. He's over one of these ways.
I don't know where I am. No.
Does anyone nowadays?
At home, probably. That's where everyone is. Yes, indeed.
It's where they should be, at least.
Yeah.
So this is Mr. Rob Harris of Jamiroquai, and below us, down the bottom, is Mr. Ian Edwards of Guitar Breaks. And the reason we're doing this is because this weekend there is a fantastic free festival, and it's all about helping people to learn to play guitar and just kind of helping everyone out in this awkward time, I suppose. Is that really why you put it together?
Well, yes, that's pretty much the reason. It's been a really odd year. I think everybody can agree on that one. And for those who don't know, Guitar Breaks organises residential workshops and events around Europe, specifically in Italy and what have you. And we had some wonderful events lined up. We had Josh Smith and Mike Goodman in Italy, and then we had Andy Guitar, Mike Bradley in the UK, and they all got postponed because of the virus. And so what we started doing as a community, the Guitar Breaks community, which is an elite group, we started trying to do those sort of where you all record guitars over a backing track and then you edit the thing together and what have you. And it just had a real community spirit to it, and it brought lots of people together. And at a time when, I think people were sort of feeling perhaps a little bit distant. And so then I've started chatting with, awesome guitar players like Rob and Ariel and Chris Buck and what have you, about maybe doing some online workshops. And they all kindly said they'd happily get involved. But in the meantime, I've been chatting with some friends about maybe doing a festival, and suddenly it sort of became real. So it's tomorrow.
It
has. It's come around very quickly, and I'm just been really blown away by the response from the guys who are involved and are doing the workshops. But also by the people who are keen to come along and watch. I mean, we've got weekend passes flying out the door at the moment. And so I'm hoping that everybody will come along and have a good time, accept the fact that a few things might go wrong, and pick up some hot tips from people such as Rob here.
Yeah, I'm certainly hoping to, because my guitar playing really needs to improve quickly.
Well, you better stay with us for the whole weekend, because there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be going through.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, Ian, I don't think I've got much choice, mate. Man. So, Rob, how did you kind of come involved?
Well, I met Ian last year. I did one of his Guitar Breaks down in, where was it, Ian?
We were in Farnham with Justin Sandico.
With Justin Sandico.
Yeah.
And that was my introduction to Ian. And I really enjoyed it. Met a lovely bunch of people there. And it was just fun. And he, I then, during the lockdown period, I was asked to do a little sort of half-hour interview type thing on Guitar Breaks, which was also a lot of fun. And then he just got in touch and asked me if I'd like to be involved in the festival this weekend.
I watched that.
You watched that? You watched the interview?
Yeah, you did one with Jan as well, didn't you?
I mean, actually, it was a fantastic series. I think, if I'm completely honest, I caught everybody at a pretty good time. Everybody had a little bit of time on their hands and happy to sit and chat, So, we had Josh Smith and Rob. Who else did we have? Ariel came in. Pete Honore came in. Dan Steinhardt came in. Sam Bell. I mean, it was... Matt Schofield came in from Florida.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, just to plug those, if anybody wants to go and watch those again, they're actually on the Guitar Breaks Facebook page. So if you want to go and check those interviews out, they're on there. And I won't go into too much detail, but at the end of those interviews, we had a quick fire round of 10 questions. And one of the questions I ask is, have you milked anything? Now, I'm not going to tell you what the answer is, but Rob's answer to that question is the best one. So if you want to know what the answer is, go find that interview.
Go find that interview.
I don't want to listen to the whole thing. Go to the end.
I had to do that again yesterday. It's not a pleasant thing.
Yeah.
It's,
well, there you go. If you want to know what Rob's talking about, go find the interview.
I really thought you meant answer the question again. I was like, that's a real coincidence.
Yes, it's that bad. We had to re-record.
It saved me a fortune at the vets, though. That's the thing.
Anyway, that's all the information you need.
We've got 3 dogs, and it's saving me money, so it's good. So, yeah.
It's a skill.
It's a skill.
Yeah.
I should say, I don't know what it is, but the thing with live streams, and we do a lot of live streams, and people don't watch the whole thing. They'll start watching a bit at the beginning. If you're watching though, you must watch the whole thing today. Okay, that isn't an excuse, right? But people, or else I'm coming for you. So people don't watch the whole thing. They'll drop out and then they'll drop back in later, and they miss things. So it's good to do what you're doing and keep it on there. I'll go back over and watch them.
Like I say, I mean, if you skip through to the end and see the top 10 most important questions in the world, like burger or pasta, you go and watch, you'll find out what the answer is. So
burger or pasta? Who's going to say pasta?
Well, me. That's my answer. Sorry, man.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so Lee, I'll tell you what. I'll ask you one of the questions. Okay.
Go on then.
Jeff Beck or Billy Gibbons?
Jeff Beck, easy. When you've got that technique where you're doing the swell as well as the vibrato as well as the tremor, and you're doing that beautiful. That's a terrible interpretation of it, but that. Man, he was doing stuff that Satriani would do 10, 15 years later before it was cool, man. Jeff Beck is so underrated.
He's
so underrated.
He's incredible. I sat in a studio once, so I was making a record once, and I'll tell this really quickly. And I was sat in the studio, and the 2 guys I was working with, 2 engineers, they said, "Oh, watch this," and they got YouTube up, and they were showing. It was Jeff Beck had been on Jules later with Jules, and we watched this amazing piece. I can't remember what it was called, but he had a quartet with him, and it finished, and I'm just, spellbound by it. And they both turned around and went, "What do you think to that? What a load of rubbish!" And I went, "What? That was amazing." So some people either get it or completely don't get it.
Yeah.
I thought it was. He's incredible, absolutely incredible. But some people just don't. I mean, neither of these guys were guitar players, so they just didn't understand it. But to see what he was doing and hear it was just. He's always great.
Well, one of my favourite live performances of his is from years ago. There was a series of charity events called the Secret Policeman's Ball, from a long, this is old school stuff. And, and it was all comedy. It was mostly comedy. And you had John Cleese on there and, all the, anyway, I can't remember. And they had a musical interlude. And it was, as John Cleese introduced them, he went, "Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Beck and Eric Clapton." And they came on and they did because we've thingy as lovers.
Because we ended as lovers,
yeah. And it's just an amazing version. It's just a really great version. And that was the sort of, in a way, that was one of the things where, you look at 2 completely differing styles of guitar playing and you go, yeah, these things work together. There was just it was a real good thing. So if you haven't seen that one, it's worth going and checking out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Beck.
Billy Gibbons is
Mentioned
amazing
Jules
too,
Holland.
though.
I used to live just around the
Sorry,
corner
I'm
from
afraid
him.
I struggle with this one. It's a bad question. I should never ask this question.
No. Billy Gibbons is amazing. The guitar tones that guy gets are great, but I just really highly rate Beck. Jeff Beck, I just massively rate him. I was very biased to that question. It wasn't like, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, Jeff Beck.
Fearless. He's fearless, Jeff Beck. His tone. So we played at the North Sea Jazz Festival, and absolutely absurdly, I had another gig to do, so I had to fly home. So we finished playing, and I had to leave the gig straight after we finished playing. And Jeff Beck was on just after us, but I did get to sort of hang out and sort of walk around and just look at his rig and his, there was nothing there. He's just a couple of amps and one or two pedals.
Yeah, he's Blues Juniors, wasn't it? Wasn't he gigging
Oh, he
with
had a
Blues
couple of
Juniors for a
Marshalls
while?
at this point.
Yeah.
But he had a pedal that he'd had rehoused because he kept on just stomping on them and just demolishing them all the time. So, but that was it. I think it was a wah and an overdrive, and that was it. That was it. You know.
I think he's got enough going on in his fingers.
Yeah.
He doesn't even use a pick, does he? It's all like fingernails and stuff. It's
yeah.
Rob, I've got a question for you. What picks do you use?
Jim Dunlop Jazz 3s. These things.
Me too.
I've had them. I've been using. Oh, you're on them too. I've been using them for. I think I started using them when I watched the Eric Johnson videos, the old Starlicks. I don't know if they were Starlicks. I can't remember what they were, but that sort of turned me on to them then, and I've used them ever since. But I will use, if I'm doing acoustic parts, I will use different picks for acoustic sessions, just thinner ones, and But I like the immediacy of these things. They're quite thick and nice bit of attack on them.
Yeah, I find that they've got this real. It's percussive, but it's not like in your face percussive.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, the old nice.
It's what do they call it? Tone something or other. I can't read what it says. Hang on.
Tone sucker.
Anyway, it's a walloper. And what's happened? The one thing I can say over the years is that my guitar picks have got bigger and thicker.
Bigger and thicker. There you go.
Bigger and thicker. I can't say the same about everything, but I can say it about my guitar picks. Okay, Lee, I've got another question for you. William Shatner or Patrick Stewart?
Oh man, I'm a big Star Trek fan, so that hurts. So okay, my dad was born in 1942, so I grew up watching the old ones. But also, every Wednesday on BBC Two, watching Next Generation. So yeah, it's difficult. It really is difficult. My birthday's on the same day as Shatner, though.
Wow.
Wow. Probably go
make a decision.
For
You're not allowed to
Patrick
do this.
Stewart.
You just have to decide it and say it.
Yeah. I was very decisive on the other question, but this hurts. I'll go for Patrick Stewart. I'd rather be with him in a crisis than William Shatner. Rather be with Picard than Kirk, if you know what I mean. And he had a better ship.
Okay, all right. I'll take that answer. That's a good answer.
It's not the same since. William Shatner married Stevie Nicks, don't you? They got married.
Yeah. Did he?
Did you not know this?
No, I didn't know that.
Making this up?
No. William Shatner and Stevie Nicks got married, but she insisted on keeping her surname, so now she's called Stevie Shatner Nicks. Sorry. I'm sorry. I hope I've not spoilt your run.
Well,
I'm just still hoping that's a
joke. Which is not quite so amusing, but it's the how do you know that Captain Kirk's got 3 ears?
Oh, left ear, right ear in the final frontier.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Very good.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
They're actually. I've been trying to get my daughter. She's only 3. Trying to get her. No, 4. I'm trying to get her into Star Trek because she's really clever. She knows all the names of the planets and all these sort of things. She has done for ages, and they've just announced that they're going to do a kids Star Trek series with the lady who played Janeway in Star Trek
Okay.
Voyager, and it's going to be a cartoon.
She's
So
in.
I'm like, yeah,
She's in.
great.
I never really. I sort of. I do remember the original series being out, but I didn't sort of follow it through. But I think it was. I grew up in the Middle East, so we didn't have regular TV programming over there, so I missed out large chunks of it. And then when I came back, I just didn't sort of carry on with it all. I watched a few of the movies. I do think Shatner was great, though. I liked his albums. I liked the songs that he did.
Some of his recordings are quite incredible, aren't they?
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
The talking word ones, and that's fantastic.
He has
They really
classics.
are. Sort of thing you play to the wife and pretend to be really enthusiastic about, and just to watch her impression, like her face.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay, well, look,
that's
while we're
funny.
on it, I'll ask you one more question before we get on to a serious topic. Okay.
Go on.
Well,
Then.
you see, I've
Who
already
you
asked all
asking?
of these
Me
of
or
Rob.
Rob?
I have to ask them of you, Lee. So here you go. If you could,
Okay.
hang on.
You, Lee.
You're going
Is he
to
here as well?
form a rock tribute band. Would it be Zeppelin, AC/DC, or Guns N' Roses?
Zeppelin.
I think that's what I answered as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
I think so. I couldn't say for sure. I'd have to go back and check, but
Mm.
it seems like the right answer, unless somebody disagrees, of course. You know.
It'd have to be Guns N' Roses or Zeppelin. AC/DC, I'd get bored playing the stuff because it's good, but it's I like AC/DC a lot and I like them to listen to, but I'd get bored playing
That's
it.
interesting because I
Bit like
think if
some-
I was
some
actually
of
going to go out and do it, I think I'd really enjoy playing in an AC/DC tribute band
Yeah.
because I just think getting that sort of, simple but really tight. It's that thing where it's surprisingly difficult to get it right, and I think actually Zeppelin would just be difficult.
Mm.
So I'd probably prefer the AC/DC band just because at least I know some of the chords. But
I like how Zeppelin were tight, but they weren't religious about the way the songs were going to be. So when you watch back on the live stuff, it's like the same song, 4 different live takes are going to be very different.
Yeah.
And I like they were so tight as musicians together that they could do that, and it still sounded
well, they
right.
put out a few years back, a lot of years back, they put out a double live thing called "How the West Was Won," and that's
got the DVD
some.
in that.
It's got some pretty loose bits and bobs on there, but I mean, it's just unbelievable. And there's a version of "Over the Hills and Far Away" on there, which he just does. I guess it's on a Les Paul. And the beginning is great. The sound's perfectly okay, but then when the band comes in, it is literally like an atomic bomb going off. And it's so tight. It's just it's just an amazing thing. So definitely worth. But then again, roll forward a couple of years when they'd split up and they did the unleaded thing with the orchestras and the different band lineup. It was just Page and Plant really. That is really, I mean, all the sort of Arabic and Moroccan influences that go into some of that stuff is just amazing.
Was that No Quarter? Yeah, I love that. It's such a good album.
That's got like the best. That's got the best version of Kashmir that I think. I mean, I may be sacrilegious in saying this, but I think that's probably the best one I've heard. No,
I really like that. Yeah, it's very, very good. I suppose you've got to be in the right mood for it, but I think also recording quality was better for that than it was for the earlier albums as well, because it was quite a few years on, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But yeah.
So, should we talk about this lovely festival that you guys have worked so very hard on?
Rob's been beavering away in his shed. I mean, in his studio. Sorry,
in the shed.
Sorry, Rob.
The shed.
People call my studio a
lovely
shed
shed.
as well. It really, because it's at the end of the garden.
I absolutely
That's
love it
me.
in here.
Yeah, I got to say, one of the sessions. I haven't got the. You see, I should be a bit more organised. I should have the timetable in front of me. Hang on a second. One of the sessions that if you're going to miss anything, don't miss Rob's session because we were running through it yesterday.
I was going to say, make sure you miss Rob.
Make sure you miss Rob's. Don't sign up for that one.
If you're going to miss one, this is the one to miss. You don't want to come for that.
It's not going to end well, I can assure you.
Honestly, I thought that's where he was going with that as well.
Oh,
If you're gonna nick off for Sunday lunch.
yeah.
Here we go. No, Rob's on at actually don't go for Sunday lunch because Rob's on at 12:30.
Yeah.
And but he's doing a session. Rob, you explain.
So I'm doing a little thing where I do a lot of sessions. I do a lot of recordings for people. So I'm sort of taking a track that I've played on before, is one I made earlier, kind of thing, and I'm sort of breaking down the thought process of how I got to the finished article. So anyone tuning in can see me working on the session and recording the guitar parts and doing overdubs, and I'll talk about why I chose this, why I chose the guitar sound, and just the thought process that I might use on any given session that comes through to my studio. So and yeah, of course there'll be plenty of time for people to ask questions, and I'll discuss the gear that I use, and just things like that, really.
I think the thing, I don't know about the guys, I don't know about how many guys who are watching this do a lot of recording at home, but I think that the interesting thing is if we can get the technology to work, Rob's going to share his screen so you can actually see how the tracks are being laid down live and sort of where the drums are, where the bass are. So so it's not only have you got the theory, the process of how you come up with the part and how you decide to generate the tone, you then also see the technical side of how you lay that down. And it's a really, for anybody who's into that kind of stuff, and I know especially over this lockdown, loads of people have been getting into it. This will be
home recordings
absolutely
massive, isn't it?
But what this is a real insight how a true professional gets, first of all, sorry Rob, but how a true professional, why they get the gigs they get, because you described it to me really well once, about the when you come up with those parts, the little tiny parts, you said those are the parts that are going to be really high in the mix. If you just play the chords, they're going to be stuck away really, in the back end of the mix. But if you come up with something really interesting, that's going to be brought up because that's bringing a kind of a melody, kind of a feel, a vibe to the track that just playing the chords isn't doing.
It's looking for, finding, writing guitar parts that can act as a hook for the song, and I'll talk about that a bit, and then I can talk about supporting guitar parts. So it's just that, and also it's kind of breaking it down and explaining that it's not actually that complicated to do. The simpler the part, the more memorable it will be to the listener sometimes. So that's what I'll sort of discuss, and hopefully people will get something from that.
I think what you're saying kind of hits home with myself a little bit, because I want to be able to play really, really fast and all the notes and do all the Satriani stuff, but I know my favourite solos are the more slow and melodic ones. And I'm like, I'm torn in this. This is what I want to play, but this is what I want to listen to, and that's what I want to sound like. But I still want to play like that.
It is that thing of just. And I'm the same. I want to have my. I have been practicing lots over the lockdown and working on my chops, which is not something I've done for quite some time actually, because in my working life, it's not the way I play. I'm playing parts. I'm touring. I'm playing the parts that the songs need, and when I'm touring, I might get 2 or 3 solos a night, and they're 16 bars or maybe 32 bars sometimes, and they're sometimes they're set, so there's not, but it's the main thing that I do in my working life at the moment is session playing. So it is kind of problem solving. You know, I'm talking. I'll talk about problem solving. You know, how do I play a guitar part that stays out of the way of the vocal? How do I think of a sound that is going to fit with a keyboard pad? You know, if there's nothing filling up the chordal area, should I reach for an acoustic guitar and lay down some chords to fill up that space? You know, so especially nowadays when you're doing a lot of remote sessions, quite often you're having to do this stuff. You're having to think of it without someone telling you what they want, and it's almost like playing a game of snooker. You got to think of things eight shots ahead. You know, what can you do 8 shots ahead? So it's building a guitar arrangement through a song, you know, and also understanding that unless you're playing that style of music where it's Joe Satriani, or that the guitar isn't always the main focus of the piece of music. You know, it's a supportive thing, it's an arrangement thing. So that's what we'll be discussing on Sunday.
Yeah, I think there's one of the things that a lot of guitar players, I think there's an inconvenient truth that in the main, playing guitar is actually part of the rhythm track. And if you need to think about where your position is within the whole, not necessarily. I mean, don't get me wrong, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, these guys are unbelievable, but the vast majority of guitar players will be playing something slightly different to that. You know, and when you get into the sort of stuff that Rob's doing, it's working fast, finding stuff that's going to become an integral part of the track that doesn't, you know, stand out above something else that's going to upset somebody. And so there's a lot of really important skills involved in creating those kind of guitar parts. And you know, when you hear someone like Rob doing it, I mean, he just makes it sound stupidly easy, which of course it isn't. So you know, I think it's a really valuable skill. So I would encourage everybody at 12:30 to stop cooking lunch, don't go to the pub, and stay in and check Rob out and how to play your session guitar and how to record your session guitar.
Make sure you get your time zone correct, because it's the clocks are changing as well.
Oh yeah, it's a triple whammy. Without giving too much away, I've just had a message from Ariel Posen saying, "Okay, I can join now." And I go, "Hey, you're already live." He goes, "Oh." And anyway, it was my fault. I got the time zones completely wrong. So
listen.
Anyway, so yeah, so we'll hopefully that we won't get anything too badly wrong on the Sunday.
Yeah, cool. Before we close up, should we say anyone who buys a ticket, you're going to be getting some extra special stuff that the people who don't buy tickets are.
Oh.
And when I say buy a ticket, I mean get a ticket, because you don't have to buy them because they're free.
You're doing my job for me, Lee. Thank you. I've forgotten about that bit. I was too busy thinking about Rob guitar playing. Okay, so basically the way it works is that the festival the whole weekend is free. So you don't have to pay anything if you don't want to. And I'll explain that last sentence in a minute. But basically, if you get a weekend pass, which you can get by going to www.guitarbreaks.com/festival. And I'm sure that will go up somewhere. Lee, you'll pop that up afterwards or something, I don't know. But go to the Guitar Breaks website anyway, and you'll find it's on there. You just sign up for the weekend pass, and then what that does, courtesy of our lovely friends at Boss and Tonepedia, that allows you the opportunity to go to a specific page on the site. You'll get a discount code for 5% off any Boss products. So if you want to go and get one of those funky Dimension C pedals,
nice,
that Rob's just got for himself, and start practicing your Prince guitar parts, then that's how you do it. Now, Boss, because they're also fantastic people, they've donated 6 pedals, all different, and you can win one of those. But to be able to in with a chance of winning one of those, you need a weekend pass. And also, I don't want to give too much away about this, but I am going to drop a name. I've got 10 copies of Steve Vai's Naked Tracks, which is a 5 CD box of all of his awesome albums. I've got 10 copies of them, and they were given to me by Steve Vai. So they do have some lineage to them. And if you sign up to that, we're going to randomly give 10 away to whoever. We'll just run our finger down the thing and we'll do it that way.
You just pointed
no. So there's lots of benefits to doing that. What we are asking is there's a tip jar QR code, and there's a PayPal donation thing. And if you think that hanging out with unbelievable guitar players like Rob Harris and Josh Smith and Ariel Posen and Chris Buck and Sam Bell and Simon McBride and Mike Goodman, all these guys, if you think that that's worth a couple of quid, then we would very much appreciate a donation towards the event. And that's basically what's happening. And it starts at 10:45 tomorrow morning on the Guitar Breaks Facebook page. So don't delay, sign up today.
So I've just dropped the link into the comments of all the different channels we're on, because I'm efficient like that, you see.
Very good. Okay.
I've got a screen up there, so if you send me like, look, I'm not praying.
Well, from here it looks like you're just staring up at Rob lovingly. There's this sort of...
Hi, Rob.
How many chins has Rob got?
Yeah. I give too many secrets away, but that's why I grow a beard.
Oh man, you and me both.
Yeah. I'm not even supposed to have a beard. I've just been really lazy. Lockdown makes you so lazy with like things like beards and stuff, doesn't it?
I tell you one thing. I would tell you the one thing about the next couple of days. What we are looking for. I don't know how many of the people who are watching have got passes or are coming along, but what we are looking for is some positive support and some love in the room for the guys who are doing this. And I'm hoping that what we're going to do is get a little bit of interactivity going on the Guitar Breaks YouTube channel. I've started a well, for want of a better title, we're calling it Guitar Breaks Introducing. And what I'd really liked over the weekend is for people who either are, good guitar players who are making videos, or they know someone who's a good guitar player is making a video, someone who's just starting out on their career. If they send us the link, then we'll upload it to the YouTube channel on one of the playlists, and then we'll just talk about it and we'll promote it. So if there's anybody out there who's got a video of themselves playing and they'd like us to promote it on the channel, then please send it over. There's a few caveats, but they're pretty obvious, so I won't bother going into them. Like it has to be a YouTube video, and it'd be good if you had your name at the start.
Yep. I don't think you can use other people's stuff nowadays as well, because Facebook's clamped down on that as well, and
yes,
so on and so
that's
forth.
right. But with a playlist, I'm just linking in from other people's channels, so actually double whammy, because I'm then sending people to their channels. So that's lovely. Okay. And as long as you're not monetized on YouTube, I think as long as you're, because we talked about this earlier on with Hold the Line by Toto. As long as you're not monetizing, you should be okay.
Yeah, or
if you're in New Zealand. Yeah, there you are. There's a big no-go Toto sign when you enter. Not allowed.
Although, if they could send the Prime Minister over here, that would be amazing. If she could come and sort us out, that'd be great.
I tell you what.
If we can send ours like halfway and just leave him halfway, that'd be lovely. I'm sure that's
Sorry.
Actually, we were going to talk about effects pedals, and you end up talking about politics.
It's typical because I've just seen my wife's joined in
Hello, Lee's
watching,
wife.
and as the moment she does, we start talking
Oh,
about
Lee's wife.
we
What's
start
Hi.
talking about
wife's name?
politics. I know she's just rolling her
Wife's
eyes.
name, Lee? Anya. Hello,
Anya.
Anya.
Hi, Anya. Lee's been very nice to us, Anya. He's been very,
Yes.
very warm and pleasant.
Makes a nice change.
Yeah, once the camera goes off,
Right.
that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to talk about pedals, or should we
Well,
call it a day?
So,
Because we've got a long
I've got
weekend.
quite a long weekend, but it would be remiss of us not to shout up quickly what our favourite almost recent pedal is.
Oh, so I took delivery of a lovely Dimension C chorus pedal today by Boss, and I'm very, very thankful for it. I haven't plugged it in yet, but it's an effect I use all the time in plug-in form at the moment. But having it on my board is going to be very, very useful for sessions. I'm sort of having a little bit of a chorus resurgence in my sound. I haven't used chorus for a very long time, but I seem to be getting quite a few sessions through that require a bit of that 80s sparkly Strat sound at the moment. Yeah.
Rob, do you run a stereo rig?
Not live, I don't. But I do print
Okay.
things in stereo when I'm recording. So I will send mono guitar parts and stereo guitar parts. So it's a very lush sound. So and I've actually learned recently how to do using my recording interface, how to record in a way where I can get the mono sound, and have the left and right stereo effects recorded to another track. So it means I can send the client both. Yeah, and it does. I mean, I'm a big fan of those sounds. Those, I know they were out of fashion for quite a while, but those sort of Michael Landau, Michael Thompson, Steve Lukather, one of my favorite, one of my guitar heroes still is a guy called Alan Murphy. He's a session guitarist from the 80s, and he used the Dimension C a lot, apparently. And it was normally a DI'd Strat with a parametric EQ and a compressor and a Dimension C. It's just that sound. It's bands like, love them or hate them, but bands like the 1975 are sort of using that sound quite a lot now, and it's just coming back a bit. I think.
Yeah, I do like them. I've got the DC2W, as we were saying earlier, and I found that it's a lovely effect in mono, but when you stick it in stereo, it's a completely different animal. Absolutely, totally different.
The textures, it's just, I found this, as I said, I found this workaround, and I'm just coming. I do noodle with pedals, and in my studio, I work mostly with amps now, and I've got an amp switching system, so I can sort of just press a button and it changes from my Marshall to my, my Princeton reverb, or my divided by 13. But I'm quite liking the idea of having, I'm going to set up a little thing on my table, on my desktop, where I've got a few pedals that are patched in, not in front of the amp, they're coming after the amp, so I can sort of process after, just for recording processes, so I can send different, stereo effects to the client as well. Printed stuff, rather than leaving it to them to do once they get the parts. I can send them the finished sound. Technology's just coming on in leaps and bounds, and now being able to integrate pedals, almost using them like a plug-in, is really useful for me.
I've been rethinking about how I'm going to start doing video pedal demos again, and I want to make it so I don't have to mess around too much because I just want to get the demo done. I've got other guys who make demos for my YouTube channel, so we've got a team of about 4 or 5 of us, and I usually just do the news. But I want to start. I've got so many pedals, I should demo them. And what I'm thinking is, I've got the Cab M from Two Notes, and they did an update on it recently. They've added a preamp and a power amp, and you can swap the different types of tubes out and these sort of things. So what I'm going to try and do is just record straight into that, because it's got the cabs in it as well, being Two Notes, and then just run that straight into me into my computer, and hopefully that will be the whole shebang. And I'll be able to just sit here with this little box over here and the pedal and just go, da, 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 there's your demo.
It's all good how this stuff is now connectable, you know. It's I mean, I've got 2 pedal boards on the floor down here. Unfortunately, I can't show you, but I do, you know, I just swap them in and out. I've got pedals sort of scattered around the room, and I just swap. I've usually got a space on my board that I need, I'll swap the vibrato in for a phaser or something, and, you know, swapping things in and out as and when I need them. Have you got the same one?
I got this recently. So I use a Boss ES8 switcher. So it's like the G2 and all those sort of things. And this was a loop extender that I got from Bright Onion Pedals down in Brighton. And use the control outs that you would normally send from your switcher to your amp to change channels and that sort of thing. And you had 2 TRSs into here, and then it allows you to have 4 extra. Four extra loops. But what I'm going to do is probably keep this, just keep a couple of jacks out of this, so I can add in an extra pedal just to test an extra pedal here or there, because then I'll be able to put it in wherever. So similar sort of idea, just to keep a space on the board. Just kind of think, do I want that in there? Do I need? That
it's
sort of idea.
You know, it's an ever revolving door. I have a sort of a drive and modulation board, and then my other board is my sort of wet effects. So, you know, I've got like it's actually got, currently it's got the Line 6 HX effects on it for everything that's weird, and then I've got a timeline and a Flint on it. But I quite like separating them out, you know, to capture the wet stuff differently, you know, not at the same time, so I can make the choices if I want to later on and blend them.
That's cool. I think there are some pedals out there that allow you to do the blending as well. I think Dan makes one over at the Gig Rig. I think he's got that parallel thing he did.
I had one. It was the big knob on it. The I think it was the wet box. I had one of those years ago.
Wetter box. Yeah,
pedals for days.
Oh man, that's what I do. I want to show you my vintage pedal collection. It's really crap, but I'm proud of it.
Lots of stuff.
I've got a few little ones. I've got a TS10, which isn't really vintage, but because John Mayer uses one, everyone thinks it's great. I've got an 87 Rat, which isn't really vintage, but it's got the cool chip in it and stuff. That's an original SD1.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I've got, because I use the the OD3.
Yeah. What's I got down here? Oh, I've got a Governor as well. These are great pedals. They really are fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah. Proper English on that one. Yeah.
Have you got any Nobles ODR1s?
I tell you what I did have. I had a Nobles Fuzz. And my mate found it in a skip. So my mate Phil, he runs a company called Pedal Patch. So they make these ones actually. So these are like really low profile. I've just set my metronome off. Did you hear that?
I picked up my guitar and started playing really bad.
But yeah, he makes these pedals that these patch cables, really, really good patch cables. But he he just found it in a tip, and he was like, and it kind of did the rounds of us all. We were all the pedal builders and the groups and everyone. We kind of all just had it for a little while. So Stu over at Tate Effects had it for a bit, and then he gave it to me, and so on and so forth. It wasn't as good as we hoped it would be, considering it was going to be Nobles, but their little tube screamer is pretty good.
Well, I've got an ODR
got
one, and it's I remember seeing it on the internet ages ago. There's a producer called John Shanks, guitar player producer, who's amazing. I remember spotting it on. It was a picture. It was just a tiny little thing on his board, and I was like, "What's that? He's good. I wonder what that is." And then I sort of immediately went and bought one on eBay, and it was just before everyone started to catch on. It was, and then I sort of realised that John Shanks had got the idea to get it from, or maybe even got it from, a guy called Tom Bukovac, who's just, I don't know if you've ever heard that guy. He is just he's amazing. He's an amazing guitar player. And that was a pedal that he had been using for years. So I got it just at the right time before I think the prices started to go up, and for the old original one. So it's my favorite overdrive. I haven't been without it since. I've only got the one though. I heard the mini version of it is like the old one. I heard it's similar.
Yeah, so they do them both now. I think they're Dutch. I think the company is Dutch. I'm not 100% sure about that. But did you see just this week Wampler, or was it last week? Wampler have brought out a new pedal which is based on that.
Right. Okay. No, I've not seen that. I know Vermurum have done one, and it's the Shanks ODR one, I think it's called, and I've got a Vermurum pedal, a Jan Ray, which is such a beautiful pedal, and they're so well made that I am tempted to sort of buy the Shanks one, but looking at the price tag on it at this current financial climate, and having just got married, I think I'll leave it for a while. Oh,
congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah, it was about a month ago now, actually. Yeah, almost a month ago. Yeah.
Was it a small affair?
Small. It was just that we had a bigger wedding planned, and we had to cancel it, obviously, at quite great expense, and we decided to just elope. So my wife and I went off to Devon, and just the two of us. It was lovely. Yeah, it was really nice.
Oh, that's good. Did you invite a priest?
We had registrar.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. Really nice week away. Yeah.
That's good, man. Oh, congratulations.
Looking at the sea and drinking quite a bit of champagne. And not buying pedals. Not talking about pedals.
not even thinking about pedals.
Not even thinking about pedals. Yeah,
nice.
About yeah. Cool.
Right. All right, boys. So, look, I'm really looking forward to this weekend. Hopefully, Ian, if by Monday I'm not a better guitarist, what happens then?
Well, if you'd paid, I'd give you your money back. But I can't do that. So, all I can recommend is that when you sit down in front of your computer for the next couple of days, bring your guitar. Bring a pad of paper, old school pad of paper and a pen or a pencil, and just take on board some of the technical stuff that's happening, but also take on board some of the thought processes and the philosophy that's going on. Because I think a lot of that gets left behind when people spend a lot of time just trying to get the scale right and how many of those notes. Actually, there's an awful lot of approach and a lot of thought behind what a lot of these guys do. And I think if you can spend the time just focusing in on some of the advice that you get, which is sort of not necessarily fingers on the fretboard, but it's about, how you're going to approach this thing. I think there's going to be a huge amount of information there for a lot of people. I think you'll come out of it. You'll definitely come out of it with the potential to be a better guitar player. I think that's probably what I'd say. And but then, of course, what's actually happens? Well, as you may know, I used to work in music schools in the UK for sort of 15, 20 years or something. I worked at ACM in Guildford and ICMP up in London, and I always used to get a lot of people who've been on a course maybe for a year, maybe 2 years or whatever. They, at the end of the course, they go, "Oh, well, I've just been swamped with all this information and none of it's gone in and it's all been a bit of a waste of time and blah, 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 blah." And you go, "Okay, fine. All right. Well, I'll see you in a few years." Anyway, a few years later, you bump into them or you meet them at a session or they're playing in a band or whatever. And they go, "Oh my God, it's taken me this long to take half of that information and make it part of my playing." So I guess what the point I'm trying to make is that 2 days, it might take 6 months for you to take all the information and all the knowledge and all the experience. I mean, oh my God, how many years of experience is going to be available?
No one wants you to type that up.
No.
I've got years of inexperience. That's what it is.
Years of experience. So that's the sort of thing. I mean, I'm hopeful that we're going to have some fun, and I'm pretty sure the whole thing's going to be live. So things may not go according to plan, and I think you should watch just for that. But yeah, I think it'll be good. So come along.
Cool. Right. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you this weekend.
Bye.